Hello, hello, my loves, and welcome to another episode. There's not a jingle yet, so you can just hear me singing along to you. Do-do-do. But seriously, I hope you are enjoying this, and if you're enjoying it, give it 5 stars. 5 stars. I think that's only for Apple Podcasts. But leave a review too if you can. And why I appreciate you leaving a review. It's not really because of the algorithms or what that does for things. Like, that's great and all, but it's like a little love note to me. So when you leave a review, you're leaving me a little love note. And it's a love note that can be shared with the world. And that is really beautiful. So I just wanted to put that out there. And what I also wanted to put out there was this podcast in general, just from the space of, I am doing this on my $12 headphones that I got at a CVS in Sedona. And actually, they were, CVS has those coupons. So they were 40% off. So they were like, what, $8? So I'm doing this on my $8 headphones. I don't have a jingle. I don't have sponsors yet. And you know what? I'm not going to, at least for right now. Because, first of all, the most important thing was getting my voice out there. Knowing that there were things that I needed to share with you, and there was no way I'm going to let logistics keep stopping me or expectations around what a podcast should be like stop me from getting my voice out to you, right? That is the most important thing. And secondly, as I mentioned in my first episode of the season, we are in a Mercury retrograde. And when we're in a Mercury retrograde, we don't want to push it with buying new stuff, starting new things, creating new projects. Okay, we don't want to go there. So I don't want to go there with this show for another couple weeks. And then I'll tinker around and I'll get it all set for you and it will be beautiful. And you can say, oh, you didn't listen back in the beginning where Danielle was doing it on her CVS headphones with no jingle. How about that? I left her a love note during that time. So, that's where I stand with that. And with retrograde, again, a lot of this is explained in the first episode, but it's not to say that you can't sign that contract, that you can't buy that thing. But the question is, can it wait? Can it wait 2 more weeks? And if it can't, then it will ask you to be very mindful, to double check things, which I think is personally beautiful because it's a time where you're being asked to really focus and make sure you're supported as you make whatever change you're making. And it's also saying, hey, what's the rush here? Why do you need to change so badly? Why do you need this now? Why are you just slapping something else on top of other things that maybe actually need space? Mercury retrograde is purposely a time to wean off technology, new projects, and the like, so that you can fine-tune what you already have. Review, reassess, reorganize, reposition yourself and your life so that when Mercury goes direct on June 22nd, you're good. I can start that jingle. I can look into different options for recording this podcast, okay? But in the meantime, I'm also good. And I'm making space. And I'd rather have the space right now to work on myself, to work on what the cosmic energy is showing me, instead of tinkering around on my computer when it's going to be slower than usual anyway, when there's going to be more challenges likely presented. Because there are a lot of people that are operating in the world under Mercury retrograde without realizing it, which can create a little bit of counterproductive overall energy for the collective, whether we realize it or not. But as I always say, it's not a time to fear. And if you are working on something that feels newer, ask yourself, when did this project come to be, right? Like if this is something that maybe came to be before the retrograde started on May 29th, something that you feel like is lining up with the retrograde, like it makes sense to be coinciding, then go for it. At the end of the day, this is your life and what you want to do. I'm sharing awareness, what's going on. Take what feels good, leave the rest. And write me a little love note. That's all I ask. Okay. So on that note, as you know, you can always learn more about the cosmos and what's happening over on the Cosmic Channel. It is my membership. We also have some of the offerings a la carte, like the solar eclipse experience that's happening on June 10th. And I want to take the rest of this time to talk about this event. Not so much the event that's happening in the Cosmic Channel, but the day itself. June 10th, this solar eclipse, in my opinion, is one of the most important days of 2021. It is so significant, so transformational. So yes, I will be having an experience in the Cosmic Channel. You can get it as a member for free or included in your membership, or you can buy it a la carte. Go to my website, hit the Cosmic Channel, go to events, you'll see it there. Pick your choice. And I really encourage you to join because, like I said, this day is huge. It just is. It's so pivotal. So to be held, to have support, to really be able to engage with this energy would be really beneficial. And let's talk then about why. So why is this day so important? Why is the solar eclipse so significant? Well, first of all, let's backtrack to the lunar eclipse, the full moon in Sagittarius that we had on May 26th. Now, if you're on Instagram, you knew that I was saying to people, do not burn. And other people, were mirroring that as well. You don't want to burn under a lunar eclipse, okay? Typically you burn under a full moon. This one we didn't for a couple of reasons. First of all, this time around, it was paired with a Mercury retrograde, which again, Mercury retrograde is saying, hey, pause here, everyone, before you start, making all these rash decisions, like just be with the energy, be with yourself. So there was that piece of it. But on a larger scale, the reason why we don't burn during a lunar eclipse is because the energy that opens up the portal, if you will, that is unlocked from a lunar eclipse has so much juicy intel around what you need to let go of. And it may be presented to you in a way that feels kind of different than what you're used to, or brought to your awareness in ways that maybe you never realized. It's meant to give you a new perspective. It's meant to, in some ways, pull the rug out from under you so that you can finally see, like, holy shit, this is what's been under the rug this whole time? I had no idea. And so this portal that was opened in the 2-week period from the lunar eclipse on May 26th to the solar eclipse that's happening on June 10th was this big reveal. And the reveal may have been very literal, like you literally got laid off from a job. You literally walked away from that relationship. You literally made the choice, I'm going to move. I'm going to do this, right? I'm not going to do this anymore. Could have been literal in that way. You also could have started to feel feelings or remember old situations that you thought you were done with. Okay, there may have been a remembrance of certain milestones in your life that weren't pleasant coming to the surface, or certain feelings, maybe the ways that you're talking to yourself, maybe some old habits. Okay, so maybe it wasn't super clear, like, yes, this is the thing I'm letting go of. However, it may be presented to you by getting flashbacks of the past or hearing voices from within that don't quite feel good. And this is our opportunity now to look at them and be done with them. There's a reason why you're getting a flashback of maybe an unpleasant memory. It's ready to be destroyed. There's a reason why that voice that's coming out, that's maybe nitpicking or bad-mouthing you or putting you down, get that the frick out of here, okay? All of these things that came up are so powerful and so ready to be gone. Our body, our mind, and our spirit hold so much. Our mind and our body are so freaking intelligent. We don't even realize it. If we were actually to become aware of what our mind and our body are actually holding on to, you would have a mental breakdown. You would collapse. You wouldn't even be able to receive and handle all of that information. So it gets dosed out. And during an eclipse season, the doses get a little bit higher, a little bit more ramped up. So you may be feeling like you're getting more information, more intel than you're used to, and it might feel a little ungrounding. So that's why it's really important that we, create practices where we can stay grounded and rooted, where we have people set up that we can talk to, or we make a point. I'm going to make sure I go to yoga 3 times this week. I'm going to make sure that meditation is part of my daily practice. I'm going to cut back on the sugar. You know what your things are that help you feel a little bit better. So bring those out, right? We want to bring out those practices because more is coming to the surface and it will help balance it out. It will help make it a little bit more manageable for you. Okay, so those are some things that we want to realize. And again, that's why we don't burn. There was nothing to burn. You might think that there was something to burn on that lunar eclipse, but there wasn't, because now I want you to think about what you would burn. And I want you to think about some things that maybe are showing up for you, some things that you're ready to release. Or also, on the flip side, maybe some new awareness around where you're going. Right now, it's really interesting to start to see new ideas around your future, around what's possible, around what you're capable of, around what you'd like to do. However, they're not solid enough to move forward with yet, because we're in this interesting dynamic of all the things, all the information that our body's been holding that we don't need anymore, that we need to get out. And then all this new information coming in around what's possible in our future, but it's not ready to actualize yet. And that's okay. So this is kind of the place we're in right now, in this sweet spot of leading right up to the June 10th solar eclipse. So what do we do? Where do we go from here? So the solar eclipse is occurring on June 10th at 6:53 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it is visible in the northern part of the globe. And it will be a annular solar eclipse. So what that means is the moon is too far from the earth to completely block the sun when we have an annular when we have an annular solar eclipse. The moon too far from earth, can't fully block the sun. So what happens? There's a slight peak, and that slight peak creates a ring. And the ring is the sun beaming out from that partial block of the moon, and it creates a ring of fire. Why it's called annular? It comes from the Latin word annulus. Annulus means ring. So when people started seeing the solar eclipse in the sky in the way that it created this ring of fire, they labeled it an annular solar eclipse. And this only happens on a new moon. So the annular solar eclipse happens with a new moon, and this new moon is happening in Gemini. So it's happening the morning of, depending on where you live, it could be evening as well, the morning of June 10th, 6:53 a.m., boom, we have this ring of fire accompanied by a new moon in Gemini. It's only visible in the northern part of the globe. Unfortunately, I won't be able to see it here, but I was able to see the lunar eclipse, and that was a really groovy experience. It literally, if you saw me talk about it on Instagram stories, it was a quite the time. I don't, side story, I don't like being woken up with an alarm. I don't like being woken up for other than when I want to wake up. And I mean, this morning I woke up at 5:30 a.m. The day before I woke up at 9:30. I don't like setting an alarm, because at night when I sleep, there are a lot of times I astral travel. I do a lot of different things in different realms, and I don't know when my body is going to want to wake up. I don't know when it wants to come back into human form. And so when I get awoken at a turn, it makes me cranky. And to be honest, the more I integrate this work, the harder it is for me to function that day if I get woken up. And I don't know what I'm going to do when I'm a parent, but I'm going to figure it out. But in the meantime, I live by myself, so it's okay. And I don't wake up to an alarm. So with the lunar eclipse, it was happening at I want to say around 4 a.m., give or take, that hour. And I was like, oh, but that means I'm going to have to wake up. I'm going to have to set an alarm, and I don't like that. So, of course, the universe and the cosmos, they know how much I love this stuff, but they also know how I can be about not wanting to be woken up. So they woke me up. Cosmos woke me up at 3:33 a.m. and the bedroom I was sleeping in, you can't see the moon. So they were like, go look at the moon. So I was like, okay, Cosmos. So I go to the other bedroom and I look at the moon. I'm like, whoa, look at you. And it was like super bright and luscious and beautiful. And then I went back to the other bedroom and tried to go back to bed. And literally like a half an hour later, Cosmos woke me up again. They're like, will you freaking go to the other bedroom and stay there? And I was like, okay. And then literally I angled the bed so that I could watch the eclipse within the full hour of that time span. It was really awesome. So I am in hindsight very grateful for the cosmos and my guides and whoever was involved in making sure I could see it. I was a little tired that day, but you know what? It was worth it. And it's part of this work. So back to the solar eclipse though. Take a look to see if it'll be visible. Again, northern part of the globe, won't be hitting me here in Utah, but that's okay. So check that out to see. It also depends on when the sun rises in your area, how visible it will be. But what I love about the fact that it's really only touching the northern part is this new moon in Gemini is also aligning with the north node right now. So you may have heard of the nodes in astrology. So in astrology, we have a north node and a south node. The south node is, and we want to imagine the nodes as these points on the moon. So the south node is the area of karma, past life, what we need to overcome in order to really rise up into the north node, which is our purpose, our destiny. A great way, I mean, clearly look up your nodes if you haven't. And then a great way to understand a little bit more meaning around your purpose and what you need to learn, see what houses they're in. So for example, my north node is Gemini. I'm actually going through my nodal return right now. My north node is Gemini. My south node is Sagittarius. So having my south node in Sagittarius, that aligns with my fifth house, which is all around creativity, exploration, expansion, heart opening kind of stuff, relationships even, and that kind of stuff. So that's how I learn. I have to learn how to break out of the box, to be independent, to focus on what feels good to me, not what feels good to everybody else. Because as soon as I get caught up in what everybody else is doing, everybody else's way of living, of showing up, what their rules are, I crumble and I hurt myself. I really do. Perfect case would be when I fell in February and got a concussion and broke my foot. And the week prior to that, when I got caught in an ice storm, all because I was doing exactly what my south node karma was indicating. So it made me realize, Danielle, you're going through your nodal returns. Of course, your north and south node energies are going to be stronger. That's why that happened to me. Then we look to the north node, and my north node is in Gemini, which is aligned with my 11th house. My 11th house, for anybody, 11th house is social relationships, friendships, your peers, your community. So for me, when I'm in my north node, when I'm really allowing that to be actualized, when I'm not following everybody else's rules and playbooks and I can go into the north node. I can be Danielle Mercurio and I can be a leader. And I can be someone that creates her own community, someone that follows, her own path, her own way. And behind her is her own beautiful, gorgeous, unique following. And I'm here for that. Okay. So that's just a little note on nodes. So take a look to see when your nodes are. And then if you can, look to see what house your south node is in, look to see what house your north node is in. If you ever get a reading with me, we will 100% cover it. I make sure that it's, unless you already know it, but I always make sure it's part of the astrology assessment offering that I have. So right now, until January of 2022, the nodes are in Gemini and Sag. So the fact that this new moon solar eclipse happening from a visibility standpoint on the northern sphere of the earth, aligning with the north node of the moon is significant. It's significant in a way of whether you have Gemini in your chart or not. If you're a Gemini moon, you're going to really feel this. Gemini sun, Gemini rising, Gemini Mercury, okay? You're going to feel it if you have those aspects. If you don't have any Gemini in your chart, look to Gemini as the sign of curiosity. That's all you need to know. And just be curious about how this is going to unfold for you. So this energy, this solar eclipse, what it's indicating for us with the ways that it's placed, it's saying, let's literally shatter anything that was an illusion, anything that was holding you back, anything that made you play small, because it is time for you to rise up. It is time for you to find your true north, whether it's your North Node in Gemini or something else. This is your time to stand up for yourself, so you can stand up for your life, so you can stand up what you're here for, so you can stand up for your mission, so you can show all of us what you truly believe in and how you truly want to expand and how you truly want to show up and do your soul's service in the world. And these past few weeks have been all around this soul due diligence, this unlocking, this uncovering of what has been freaking making you, not on purpose, right? We don't want to blame ourselves, but making you default to tendencies that aren't in the highest alignment, that aren't in your true north. And so this ring of fire is a clean slate. We want to imagine that we are literally walking through this ring of fire and creating new order in our life, a new timeline, a new way of being. And as we walk through this ring of fire, as we walk through this eclipse, shedding, releasing, dropping so much baggage, patterns, tendencies, habits, language, dynamics. You don't play by those rules anymore. You don't. Because if you do, you're going to always feel like you're being grounded. The more you try to follow the rules of society, the more you try to follow the rules that were ingrained in you, the more that you try to follow the rules that you've ingrained in yourself that are necessary in order to belong, the more you are going to feel like you're being punished. The more you're going to feel like things aren't working out. The more you're going to feel like, why me? And that is no more. No more do you need to walk around feeling like, is the world against me? Is something wrong with me? Am I really just effing this up that badly? No more questioning yourself. And with that comes new opportunities. And the new opportunities actually stem from something that you've been feeling for probably your whole lifetime. So when we cross that ring of fire, and again, this is what we're really going to be focusing on in the solar eclipse experience that I want you to sign up for, because it's powerful. I've done this before and it's just electric. Okay, so when you walk through that ring of fire, we're walking through that ring of fire and we're wiping the slate clean from anything that has gotten in the way of who you know you are deep down. And that's from the space of how you share your heart, your emotions, who you spend time with, how you treat yourself and your body, all of that, and all the OG ideas. Like those moments when you were little and said, I want to do this when I grow up. Or the moments where you were like, I'm going to do my yoga teacher training and I'm going to get certified and I'm going to teach classes. Or for me, I'm going to be a life coach and I want to teach people confidence. All of those moments where you had that idea, that aha, okay, we're coming back into that. We're coming back into the juice, into the core. And maybe it's brand new for you, right? Remember when I said earlier, there are going to be these new ideas that are going to be presented to you, but you can't act yet. This is why, because we've got to walk through that ring of fire first. Okay. And so we walk through the ring of fire. You know, I go back to that idea of Danielle Mercurio, I want to be a coach and help people with confidence. Danielle Mercurio, I want to write fiction. Okay. These are things that I said in my 20s. And what's interesting is I was saying that during a time when this eclipse cycle was around, and that's around like 2002. Think about where in your life there was something you wanted to do, or you said yes. And again, it doesn't mean that it has to actualize exactly as you thought it was going to back then, because the world has changed, dynamics have changed, you've grown, you've evolved. However, allow yourself to really claim it again. Reclaim whatever that thing is. Reclaim that part of you that said, I'm going to go back to school to do this. Reclaim that part of you that said, I'm going to start to, I want to train to run a marathon. Whatever it is, reclaim it. And from that space of reclaiming it, do it from such a high alignment and vibration and understanding of knowing that nothing can take it away again. There's no more downsizing. There's no more settling. There's no more things getting in the way. The past episode before this, I was talking about distractions. Maybe it was the first one. I don't know. I was talking about distractions that appear in our life. But we want to use this eclipse as a way to free ourselves from distraction so that we can be in this really juicy space of the present, still for a couple more weeks. Okay? Just because we walk through this ring of fire on June 10th, June 11th, doesn't mean that now everything starts. We still have to get through Mercury retrograde. There's a Saturn-Uranus square on June 14th we want to get through. So there's still a couple more weeks in the waiting room. That's fine. You got plenty of activities. You got plenty of coloring books, magazines, all the goods to chew on while you wait, to be curious. We want to use the remaining 10 days or the time until the full moon in Capricorn on June 24th, which won't have an eclipse, to really go forward, okay? But in the meantime, we are freeing ourselves of distraction. And we are not letting anyone take our OG or our new idea away from us. How many times have you had the most delicious, wonderful, beautiful, bright idea, and you were so excited, you almost couldn't sleep, and you were researching, and you were writing, and you were just so amped up. And then you start telling people and they don't get it. Or they start to give you their opinion. Or you start to see somebody else that does it. Or you start to kind of put yourself down a little bit. Or you start to be like, well, this idea is so good and it's so wonderful and it's going to take up so much of my time. So you know what? I'm going to take the weekend off. Or, I'm just going to watch a little Netflix first. Or you know what? Things are opening back up. I'm going to go to brunch. And we start to make excuses. We start to downsize our idea. We start to settle and say, I know that I wanted to do the full teacher training, but now maybe I'll just take one workshop instead. Or, I don't really think I would teach yoga anyway. Like there's so many teachers out there, you don't make a lot of money, blah, 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 right? And whose voice is that? That wasn't your voice. Notice that. I want you to notice when you start to downplay your idea that had so much potential, so much brightness. And here's the thing. Your ideas, what you want to do, your goals, your motivation, it'll shift, it'll change, it'll evolve. Sometimes we get a really great idea and it might morph, and that's fine. But what we don't want to morph is the energy behind it. Okay? It's not about it's okay if the idea or the inspiration shifts or evolves or takes a different route. Totally fine. That can be 100% part of it. What we don't want to happen is for the energy that is backing it to downsize, get distracted, put it down, put it off. That's the difference. And that's what we're in right now. So we're coming off of that lunar eclipse on May 26th. We didn't burn anything because we were being given more awareness into the information that our minds and bodies and our spirit have been holding on to that needed to come out and come up and be released. And they're going to be released through this stepping through the Ring of Fire solar eclipse. And as we walk through that Ring of Fire, we cleanse ourselves of all the things that were brought up to our awareness around where we're playing small, where we're not shining out, where we're not choosing our true north. And then from that space, we pick up where we left off, but we pick up where we left off in a way that is empowered, excited, and sustainable. Sustainability is a really key word that we tend to not dwell on because it's not sexy. It's not sexy to be like, ooh, is that manageable? As a coach, whenever I wrap a session with one of my clients, we go through the objectives together. We work on something. By the end, they tend to have homework, steps that they're going to take. We review those steps, and we do it in a way where we feel excited and confident and empowered. And then I ask them, okay, how much can you actually accomplish this week and still be lit up and excited and expansive? Okay, great. Now let's look at how reasonable that is. How manageable is this? And be honest. And we want to come to that space of being really clear on what's possible while also still staying really excited about it. And sometimes we don't want to look at that part. We don't want to look at the logistics. We don't want to look at, we just think in our head, no, I'm so excited. I'm so ready for this. This is what I'm meant to do. I can do it all this week. And then, life happens, or it just really wasn't doable in a week. It was really a 2-week project or a 1-month project. So sustainability is so important when crafting our goals, what we want to manifest, what we're working on, what we're stepping into. We don't want to get in over our head, because that could also play into then us downsizing it, settling, getting distracted, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So we move through the ring of fire. You take the workshop with Danielle Mercurio. It's amazing. You share with all your friends on the Instagram, and then they take it too. And then from there, you rock on with yourself into the next 2 weeks of really just allowing yourself to notice how you feel in this new empowered way. It's less about doing, because again, we still have the retrograde. We're still in the eclipse energy of clearing and elevating. So in that elevated state, I want you to find ways to stay in that. Because again, ideas will come and go. You can always find something to quote unquote do. However, the real key to this is, how can I stay in my expanded, elevated state? How can I make this new vibration work for me? And it doesn't mean that you're not going to have a bad day. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be tested, but it just means that you're operating from a space that has a little bit more of a boost, a little bit more of a way forward, a little bit more internal support, a little bit more of being able to communicate and talk with yourself in a way that feels empowering. And that's what we really want to focus on as we wrap up this eclipse retrograde season. Then June 24th, it's going to be so freaking clear on that full moon in Capricorn. Let it go, baby. Oh, I don't need this. I don't need that. It's like going through your closet and being like, nope, this doesn't fit anymore. That doesn't fit anymore. Nope, don't need this. Like everything that you reorganize under the retrograde, you're just burning it up for the Capricorn full moon. Okay. That's the party. And Capricorn's here for that. It's like, oh yes, I would love to help you burn all of this. Capricorns love to help. So they can help you surrender and release and get rid of shit. Ooh, will it? Oh, it's going to be such a juicy burning party. I want to have like a bonfire. Is that possible? No, shoot. It's not. I'm going to be in a hotel in Salt Lake City that night. Maybe there'll be one around. I'll look for it. Anyway, in the meantime, I trust that you're following me. I'm trusting that this was helpful. And of course, for more intel, you know where to go. Repeat after me. The Cosmic Channel. Yeah. Go to my website, daniellemercurio.com. You can sign up for your membership, or you can get the Solar Eclipse experience a la carte. Other homework assignments is write a love note for Danielle on the podcast here and give it 5 stars. And, ask yourself, is this manageable? Do I have the time to give Danielle 5 stars? I think you do. Do I have the time to write Danielle a little love note? I'm feeling pretty confident that you can make space for that. Do I have space available to walk through the ring of fire and completely change my life? Yes. Pretty sure I have 90 minutes of my entire lifespan to invest in that workshop experience. All right. Well, it sounds like we're on the same page. And no matter what you do, please know I appreciate you. I adore you. I'm grateful that you listen. And that's really what it comes down to. So, love you. Happy eclipse retrograde season. We're in this. We're doing this. I'm telling you, this day has so much potential and possibility, and I'm so excited for it. I'm so here for it, and I'm so ready for what the rest of the year has in store for us after these next couple weeks. All right. See you or talk to you or feel you soon, my love.